Hi, my name is Rich Hanlon. I'm the pastor at Athens United Methodist Church in Athens, Pennsylvania, and I welcome you to this week's pre-sermon Bible study video. If you have your Bible, I invite you to open your Bible to chapter 22 of the Gospel according to Matthew. And in chapter 22, verses 1 to 14 of the Gospel according to Matthew, we find one of Jesus' parables. This is called the parable of the Great Feast, and it goes like this. Jesus told a parable. He said, "The kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by the story of a king who prepared a great wedding feast for his son. When the banquet was ready, he sent his servants to notify those who were invited, but they all refused to come. So he sent other servants to tell them, 'The feast has been prepared. The bulls and fattened cattle have been killed, and everything is ready. So come to the banquet.' But the guests he had invited ignored them and went on their way, one to his farm, another to his business. Others seized his messengers and insulted them and even killed them. The king was furious, and so he sent out his army to destroy the murderers and burn their town. And he said to his servants, 'The wedding feast is ready, and the guests that I invited are not worthy of the honor. Now go to the street corners and invite everyone you see.' So the servants brought in everyone they could find, good and bad alike, and the banquet hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to meet the guests, he noticed a man wasn't wearing the proper clothes for a wedding. 'Friend,' he asked, 'how is it that you are here without a wedding garment?' But the man had no reply. Then the king said to his aides, 'Bind his hands and feet and throw him into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen.'" This ends our reading. Well, the story starts off on a troubling note. The guests who were first invited, seems like a small group of guests who were first invited, refused the invitation. And so then the king decides to extend the invitation to basically everyone else. And the banquet hall is filled with guests. But then there's another troubling note in the story. There was one guest there who was not wearing a wedding garment. And he is thrown out of here, right? To our modern ears, that just doesn't sound right. There's something that feels very wrong about hearing that part of the story. I mean, what if he couldn't afford a wedding garment? What if he was like a poor farmer who didn't have much wealth or anything and couldn't afford the wedding garment that he should have worn to that banquet? Is it really fair that he got thrown out? Well, to our modern ears, that's the way we read that. But it changes things when you come to understand what was customary in that culture and time period. And so in the particular cultural and historical context out of which this parable is told, when guests would enter through the door of the wedding feast, they would be given a wedding garment. They didn't have to buy it. They didn't have to bring it. The guests were given the wedding garment when they entered into the door. So I'm gonna have a lot more to say about this on Sunday morning during the sermon. But for now, I'll leave you with this thought. If the wedding garment wasn't something that had to be brought or bought, but was just something that was given to the guests as they came into the door, consider the one man who didn't have a wedding garment and what happened to him. What do you suppose the wedding garment may represent or be a symbol for in this parable? So go ahead and read it again for yourself, Matthew chapter 22, verses 1 to 14, and consider, what do you suppose the wedding garment may symbolize? Well, I hope you found this pre-sermon Bible study video interesting and meaningful. I hope to see you Sunday morning, 10 o'clock a.m. at our Athens United Methodist Church live stream on Facebook. Have a good week. See you then.